All right, so this is a tutorial on how to run a Echoic program, how to have the client acquire an Echoic repertoire, and also incorporated with that is what to do in the event that the client makes an error while running this specific program. So the first part of any good program in applied behavior analysis is you need a discriminative stimulus. What does that mean? A discriminative stimulus is sometimes called a direction, sometimes called demand. More or less, it is a stimuli, whether it be written down, stated, said, signed, something other form of stimuli in the environment that signals to the client that reinforcement is available for a specific behavior. The behavior in this case is repeating the exact vocal sound as the therapist. So the SD, in this case, discriminative stimulus, is say blank. It can be whatever it is. It could be say blank if you want it to be. But in this case, we're going to use the sound ooh. Okay? It's pretty basic. My 1-year-old daughter says ooh all the time, sometimes even in echoing what I say or my wife says. So the discriminative stimulus, the SD, is say ooh. This signals to the client that reinforcement is available in the event that they say ooh. If they say anything else, there's not going to be reinforcement available. Remember that. It's going to be very important later. First part, say ooh. That's the SD. So that's at the top. If you're thinking about this like a flow chart, which I'm going to make as a graphic available for you guys, think about it like it's up top. Say ooh is the SD. You then have two possible responses. You either have the correct response, they actually say ooh and repeat it, or they have an incorrect response, which is they say anything else or no response. So in the event that you present the SD, say ooh, and the client says ooh, that's perfect. That's exactly what you want. You're going to give them reinforcement. You're going to give them their edible, their tickles, their activity to play with, their verbal specific praise, their behavior specific praise. Nice job saying ooh, you did such a good job saying ooh, I love the way you repeated what I said. Whatever quirky spin you want to put on it. Behavior specific praise along with chosen or available reinforcers. That's if it goes perfect. That's if it goes correctly. In the event that it doesn't go correctly, then you've got the opposite choice that you have to make. So flowchart up here, SD, say ooh, response, ooh, by the client. Perfect, give them praise, give them reinforcement. The next thing is what happens if they don't say ooh, they say something else, bah, or they don't say anything. So you say ooh, nothing. What do? Then you run an error correction trial. You do an error correction by clearing the palette, clearing the trial. I call it clearing the palette. You can call it whatever you want, but more or less you're going to run a mastered target. It's helpful to have a list of mastered targets available for your client so you know in advance the things they can do independently. Why do you want a mastered target? Well, assuming you've been exposed to ABA, discrete trial instruction, and so on and so forth, you've probably become familiar with the concept of high P, low P, high probability behaviors and low probability behaviors, and meshing them together in terms of a sequence. So you want to have a high probability behavior, a mastered task, something they can do with high probability independently. The independent thing is the key factor here. High probability that they can engage in the response, in the behavior independently. And then low P behaviors are the exact opposite of that, which stand for low probability behaviors, exactly. So this ooh that you're asking them to repeat and echo is a low probability behavior. How do you know that? Because you just gave an SD and they weren't able to echo. They weren't able to emit that response. That is a low probability of being able to independently, the client being able to independently exhibit that behavior. So what do? We run a mastered trial, a mastered task, that high P sequence. So you say, let's say our client is able to clap their hands when I ask. So I say, clap your hands, and they can do that. So that's the high P we're going to do. So you've given the SD, say ooh, they then don't say ooh or say something else. So then you're going to run a mastered task. Clap your hands. Nice job clapping your hands. Then you've successfully, if you want to be a little mentalistic, cleared their palette. You kind of reset their learning history. temporarily. You've gotten that bad trial of the first time you asked them to say ooh and they didn't do it correctly out. You haven't given any reinforcement. You haven't given any verbal praise or reprimands. You haven't given any tangibles. You haven't given any activities. You haven't, punished it in any way. You've just not delivered reinforcement. You've essentially put the behavior of any other response aside from ooh on extinction. And then you've cleared that out of the way by giving a mastered target a high P behavior of clapping their hands. Clap your hands. They can do that independently. Then you present the SD. You're going to say ooh again. Why do you do this? Because you still want to signal that in the event the respondent, the client, exhibits the correct behavior, reinforcement is available. There's one catch at this point in time. Because they already failed the first time, they didn't exhibit the correct response, you're not going to let them error. What you're going to do is you're going to intercede, you're going to interject with a prompt. So think of the three-term contingency. You have your antecedent, your SD, your discriminative stimulus, say ooh, and then you have your behavior over here as your second term in the three-term contingency, which is the actual behavior that they're going to respond with and say ooh. In between that is where there's a prompt. It's going to be an attempted prompt because a prompt is only something that facilitates a correct response. So in the event that you say ooh, and then you repeat ooh, the second ooh is a prompt. It's the intention of a prompt. Because if the client does not say ooh, then it's just a stimulus. You're hoping that it's a prompt. But in the event that it doesn't get the correct response, it's not a prompt, it's just a stimulus. It's a worthless, ho-hum, run-of-the-mill stimulus. If they actually do, at that point in time, say ooh, then it's a prompt, and they're going to get some degree of reinforcement for that behavior. It's going to be less in magnitude, in force, in enthusiasm, than if they did it independently. You got to reserve something for when they do things independently. So you're going to make, I call it a behavior-specific statement. It's not behavior-specific praise, it's a behavior-specific statement. So when they say ooh after being prompted by you, modeling ooh, then they're going to get a behavior-specific statement. That is saying ooh. They're not going to get a token. They're not going to get an edible. They're not going to get verbal praise. Nice job saying ooh, I love the way you repeated what I said. Even with flat affect, that is still behavior-specific praise. It's less magnitude, but I would just like to stick to a declarative statement. You said ooh. Why do I, personally, like to run an error correction for this rather than do the traditional transfer trial? And if you guys have questions on transfer trials, there'll be videos on that later. I'm not a speech pathologist. I'm a behavior analyst. I don't know ways to prompt specific speech. If it was picking up a pen, I could take my hand, put it over the hand of the client, and actually manipulate their hand so that they can pick up a pen. Okay? I've done that for a long time. I'm pretty adept at doing it. I have some relative confidence and competency while doing it. I don't, however, have any competence or confidence in my ability to manipulate all of the muscles and in the palate and the throat and the lungs to exude breath. There are no muscles in your lungs, but to exude breath and then control it by making speech and certain sounds and putting your tongue in this way and your lips in this. I just don't have the skills for that. If I were to be trained in that, I might have more in my prompt repertoire that would be able to facilitate a correct response. But I don't. So I only have one thing in my bag of tricks. That's a model. All I can do is model. I can model approximations. I can model the exact word or response that I want, but I don't have anything else in my prompt repertoire for vocalizations than a model. So a transfer trial is typically used when you're going to fade prompts. But I can't fade this to anything because it's either is prompted via a model or is independent. So I can't really fade it to anything. So what I would rather do is I would rather teach it at independent, see if it's correct or incorrect. In the event that it's correct, deliver a high amount of reinforcement. In the event that it's incorrect, prompt and deliver that behavior-specific statement if they get it correct with a prompt. The only prompt that I have in my arsenal. So again, that's why I like to run with echoics a specific repertoire, a specific pattern of only doing error correction rather than doing transfer trials and error correction as I would do with other discrete trial or errors learning tasks. So this isn't true errorless learning because I am allowing the client at every opportunity, at every presentation of the discriminative stimulus, to engage in an independent response, whether it's correct or incorrect. I might be able to if I notice that if I'm that quick, because this is a really discrete, quick behavior. Ooh happens very quickly. Whereas reaching for the wrong item, I can kind of interject and kind of prompt over this way. Even if I start to say ooh as they're starting to say, unless I notice that their mouth is making a certain formation that doesn't match with ooh, then I might be able to kind of anticipatorily prompt them to say ooh. But in the event that it's not correct, then it's, again, just a stimulus. It's not a prompt. And I would still do that error correction because their speaking while I'm prompting might actually overshadow or nullify my prompt because they can't hear it or they weren't paying attention or they were thinking about something else or whatever it is. So that's why I do an error correction as opposed to a transfer trial. So in summation, when running an echoics program, I like to think about it like a flow chart. The discriminative stimulus is up at the top. Say ooh. That's always going to be our SD if we want the client to echo the saying of ooh. We want them to say ooh after we say ooh. So we say ooh, and they engage in two behaviors. Either they say ooh, in which case they get a whole bunch of reinforcement, behavior-specific praise, tickles, tangibles, activities, everything under the sun, or they don't engage in the appropriate response, any other response, or no response, in which case we're going to go to a error correction trial where we're going to present a master target as part of a high P, low P sequence. Clap your hands. Nice job clapping your hands. And then represent the original SD, which is say ooh, followed by a prompt, model prompt in this case, ooh, and then they have, again, two responses. Either they respond ooh, and then you say, that's saying ooh, the behavior-specific statement, no reinforcement, really. I mean, it might function as reinforcement, but no reward being given, no tangible being given. Or they go no response or the incorrect response, and you're just going to end the trial at that point in time because you don't really have anything else to prompt them. You might, but I don't. So I don't have anything else to prompt them. So I'm not able to use any other tricks in my bag of tricks to try to get them to say ooh. We're just going to kind of end it at that point in time, realize that they made an error, realize that they weren't successful at that prompt, and go on. I've had success with clients in the past because of repeated presentations. We're not doing only one echoic, we're doing multiple echoics. And as they start to acquire certain ones, they start to understand the expectations, they start to understand the contingencies, they start to understand the relationships and the patterns, and they realize that if I don't engage in this specific behavior, say the sound that my therapist said after saying, say, fill in the blank, if I don't do that word that's in the fill in the blank or that sound that's in fill in the blank, I'm not going to get all these awesome things. So repeated exposure to this teaching methodology, this educational paradigm, this whatever you want to call it, this pattern, will allow the client to understand consciously or subconsciously the expectations and then respond in kind. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to draw up a flowchart, a graphic that I'm going to publish along with this video. But in the meantime, feel free to ask me any questions. Comments are always welcome, and share this video. And for my two therapists that I actually made this for, Kendra and Sarah, I hope this was really helpful, and good luck.